if Jordan said that you were jamming food down Mercedes' throat, would she be telling the truth?
No.
If Jordan said that you got angry and jammed a spoon accidentally down her throat, would she be lying?
No. Wait, yes. Sorry.
Yes?
Yes.
Didn't you do the same things to her?
No, I didn't.
Do you realize that there are 6,015 pages of CPS reports about you?
No, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that. Do you know Angelica Edwards?
Yes.
You know she made a report to CPS about you?
I'm going to object to hearsay and not
Sustained.
Did you know that she ever made reports about you?
again, Judge, same objection hearsay.
Got to be overruled. You can answer if you know.
No, I didn't know.
Well, who is she?
She's my god sister.
Your God's sister? Okay, and sorry, there's so many reports here.
I'm going to object to sidebar comment.
I'm sorry, I was speaking to myself. I apologize for that.
All right, so this is what everyone needs to remember. If you're talking out loud to yourself, you need to speak up because the court reporter is taking down everything everyone says. All right, you can ask your next question.
I'm looking for my notes, Your Honor. Sorry to take so long. Was Angelica Edwards afraid of you?
No.
Did she ever say she was afraid of you?
No.
Were any members of your family afraid of you, if you know?
No.
Do you remember the CPS visit at Homer's house where Angelica lived back in January of 2022?
Yes.
And what happened at that meeting?
They just talked to Jordan and Mercedes by themselves, and they asked them a few questions, and they said that it looks okay, that everything's good, that they were going to be closing the case.
At that time, did the CPS worker have Angelica, Mercedes take off her clothes at any time?
No.
Did she examine the body of Mercedes at that time?
No.
But she said everything was okay anyway.
Yes.
And there were apparently no marks visible at that time on Mercedes. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And what about her hair? What did Mercedes' hair look like at that visit?
And she had a full hair.
I'm sorry?
She had a full head of
She had
hair.
a full head of hair? There's pictures that we saw of Mercedes while you were testifying where she had hardly any hair. Most of her hair was removed. None of that happened prior to February 7th?
No.
Now, I'm not sure that I heard it correctly, but how did you describe Mercedes' bad behavior?
I don't think they asked me that.
I didn't ask you. It was Mrs.
All right, just,
Giovanni.
excuse me, ask your question and just answer the question.
Do you recall, how would you describe Mercedes' bad behavior? I believe you said it earlier, but how would you describe it again? Her bad behavior. What did she do that was so bad?
She would just talk back or not keep her hands still while she's in timeout, or
What was that you said?
she would not keep her hands still while she was in timeout.
She wouldn't keep her hands still. What did you mean by that?
She would be touching and grabbing things, or like looking around, or kind of watch TV on the side, trying to get her sister to talk to her and stuff like that.
Where did timeout occur? Was she always put in the closet?
No, at first she was just put in the room in a corner.
In the corner? And what instructions was she given when she was put in the corner?
To put her hands behind her back and not touch anything and be quiet. And if you cry, then you stay longer.
Were you criticized for your behavior towards her when she was in timeout?
No.
Were you criticized for using clothing to tie her arms and hands when she was in timeout?
I didn't do that.
Were you ever criticized for it? I didn't ask if you did it. Were you ever criticized for it?
No.
So if it turns up in reports, the reports are wrong, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, timeout, she would use her hands, she'd move them around, she'd try to grab at things. What else did she do that was so bad?
She didn't really do much bad.
Then why was she beaten so much?
Jose didn't like a lot of things that she did.
I didn't say what did Jose do. I said, why was she beaten so much? You testified that you beat her with a belt. Why?
I didn't say I beat her with the belt.
Never said that?
No, I said I whooped her with the belt.
You would what?
I spanked her with the belt.
You spanked her with a belt.
Yes.
Isn't that called beating too?
No.
Okay, so how else was she bad? Mercedes.
Like I said, she wouldn't say her ABCs, or she didn't count numbers. Or
Objection. Just a moment, please. She wouldn't say her ABCs. What was the context of that? Like, does she just automatically have to spurt them, or?
No, Jose would ask her to say
I'm not
her
asking
ABCs.
about Jose.
All right, stop. Everyone, it needs to be one person at a time, otherwise the court reporter is not going to take down the record.
Apologies, Miss Diana. So, when we're talking about when she was bad, and you want to go to Jose right away, but why did you think she was bad about ABCs? How did that come up with
I
you?
didn't. No, I would get mad at her because she would lie, or she would talk back, or she wouldn't do exactly what I told her to do, or she would play with things in timeout, or watch TV while I told her not to. She would, I had these like vitamin gummies, and like I fell asleep one time, and she wanted to open the vitamin gummies and eat them as candy, so she got in trouble for that.
What did she do? Was she destructive towards things? Did she break things and deliberately break things, or throw
No.
things, or
No,
no? Did she steal from you?
no,
Was she violent toward you? Did she hit you, or?
sometimes yes, sometimes she would pick me when I was bigger, or she'll claw at me or do stuff like that.
Claw at you?
Sometimes.
Why would she kick you?
She would kick me because I would try to bend her over to spank her in her butt, and she didn't want to bend over, so she would kick and squirm.
Did you expect her to voluntarily bend over while you smacked her?
Yes.
Why was that?
I mean, if I tell you you're going to get a spanking, then you should be ready for a spanking.
You should be ready for it.
Yes.
Did you ever spank Jordan?
Yes.
And she would just bend over and let you?
Yes.
Without hesitation?
Yes.
And that was your definition of a good child, right?
That's good behavior.
If needed. What other things did she do specifically that got her in trouble? Mercedes, I'm talking about.
I think I already answered that question.
Well, indulge me. What else was there?
Nothing else.
Nothing else.
Not that I can remember.
So the worst thing she ever did was not listen to you, talk back to you, not cooperate when you were trying to smack her or beat her. Yes?
I never claimed to smack her or beat her.
You didn't. When you were trying to get her to turn over so you could, what to her?
Spank her butt.
Spank her butt. So when she wouldn't cooperate so that you could spank her butt, that was a bad act. Is that right?
Yes.
Have I covered all the bad acts that she's done?
She would lie.
What would she lie about?
Like for instance, there was this one time that they were on the balcony, and she was throwing the gummy bears off of the balcony, and I told her not to get near the balcony because you can fall and you can end up on the ground. And so when I asked her, I said, Mercedes, I saw you do this, and she said, no, I didn't do that, and I saw her do it. So she lied.
So that was considered a lie by you. And that was bad behavior, in your opinion?
Yes.
What did you do to her when she lied about throwing gummy bears off the balcony?
Put her in timeout.
And where was the timeout? Was it in the closet this time?
No, it was in the room.
In the room. Which room?
In me and Jose's room.
You're in Jose's room. Where was this?
in Henry B Apartments,
And what floor were you on?
second floor.
What kind of a fence was around the balcony?
I don't remember.
And you considered it to be you and Jose's room, but you didn't live there, you were just staying there, right?
No, I moved in for 3 weeks.
You moved in for 3 weeks. When was this?
When was what?
When did you move in for 3 weeks?
Sometime in January.
In February of what year?
January 2022.
January of 2022 is when you moved in. You hadn't lived there before that?
I mean, I would stay the night, but we didn't live there. I didn't have none of my belongings there or anything like that.
Where were you living at that time?
At Homer's house.
At Homer's house, and that was where Angelica lived as well, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so you were hardly at Jose's house at all prior?
No, we were there a lot.
You were there a lot. Did the kids go to school?
They were enrolled, but they didn't really go to school.
Why?
I don't know, I just liked having them with me.
You what?
I like to have them with me.
So you didn't send them to school?
Sometimes I did, but they had a hard time of getting dropped off, and I didn't like to see them cry.
You moved a lot. Was that true?
I'm gonna object to relevant.
Relevant as to where the kids went to school?
Sustained. Ask your next
Where
question.
did the kids go to school?
I forgot the name.
Where was it located?
Near Marbach and 410?
Marbach and 410. Didn't you live on the south side?
No,
Where did Homer live?
Marbach and 410.
Marbach and 410. And how often how long did they go to school? What grades were they in?
Jordan was in first grade and Mercedes was in kindergarten.
In kindergarten. At some school near 410 and Marbach.
I think it was called Hatchet. I'm not sure.
Gotcha, all right. And where was your pediatrician?
I'm gonna object to relevant.
Overruled.
That's it.
Yes, you can answer.
Vivia Pediatrics in the South Side,
And next to what hospital was that?
Southwest General Hospital.
Southwest General. And that's where you took Mercedes the night she was dead, right?
No,
Was it?
no, it was the Baptist Hospital
Baptist Hospital where?
in the South Side.
Was it across from the pediatricians?
No,
You took her to a Baptist hospital, and that's the only name of the Baptist hospital?
yes,
Wasn't called Texas Vista?
I don't know, maybe.
Maybe.
But I know it was the Baptist Hospital.
Okay, the Baptist hospital. So, you lived with Homer, Angelica lived there too. The kids went to, you think, the Hatchet School over by Marbach and 410, but they didn't go regularly.
Yeah, they didn't go regularly.
And whose responsibility was it for those children to go to school?
Mine.
And why didn't you take them to school?
Object to asked and answered.
Overruled.
Relevant.
Overruled.
What was the question?
Why didn't you take them to school?
They didn't like to depart from me.
I'm sorry?
They didn't like to depart from me.
But you're the parent. Didn't you feel it was your responsibility to take them to school?
Yes, I mean, they went to daycare for a long time and they would go to daycare, but when they started school, they didn't really like to go to school, so I would feel bad and I would keep them with me.
That they didn't want to go, so you would feel bad and they didn't go to school. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you think that's appropriate?
No, I should have made better choices.
I'm sorry?
No, I should have made better choices.
Yes. Did they stop going to, when did they stop going to school?
I can't say.
When you were staying with Jose at the Henry B Apartments, did they go to school then?
No.
What did the children do all day?
Well, they did go to school. Like, it's not like they never went to school. Because even when I had the CPS case, they told me that the school had made a complaint that they smelled like cigarettes. So they did go to school. It's just some days they just wouldn't go to school. They would stay with me.
Cigarettes is interesting. Did you smoke?
No,
Why did they smell of cigarettes?
I don't know. I didn't think they did because I don't smoke cigarettes.
Is it true that Mercedes had asthma?
Yes,
And did you prevent her from being around cigarette smoke?
nobody smoked in the house, so I don't know why they made that allegation.
What other complaints, if any, did the school make about you?
That's it. That's all the CPS told me.
Is that why you really stopped taking them to school, because there were complaints?
No,
If we were to contact the school, what did they tell us?
Objection, hearsay, and speculation.
Sustained.
I'll rephrase that. So nobody in the house at Homer smoked.
no,
When you were at various other places, how many other places besides Jose's did you stay at?
that's it.
Didn't you have another boyfriend that you stayed at in December of 2021?
Yes,
What was his name?
his name is Damon Gonzalez.
Damon Rosales. And did the children stay with you then when you were at his house?
Yes,
And who did he live with?
he lives with his grandma.
Did she have complaints about you too?
No,
She was happy that you were there?
yes.
Did they smoke?
Damon smoked.
So maybe that was his smoke that was the school was complaining about with the children?
Object to relevant, sir.
Overruled.
Answer?
Yes, you can answer.
Yes, maybe. But he didn't smoke cigarettes. He smoked weed,
Oh, he smoked weed.
and he wouldn't do it around the girls.
So when the school complained about smoke, they weren't necessarily speaking about cigarette smoke.
No, they said cigarette smoke.
Cigarette smoke? And you have no idea who smoked cigarettes around them.
I don't know why they would say that.
Well, they did though, apparently. You said
Yes, but I don't know why they said that.
well, if they were with you all the time and the school complained about smoke, where was the smoke coming from?
I'm gonna object to asked and answered.
That'll be overruled. If you know the answer, you can answer.
I don't know.
You had a pediatrician. What was the name of the pediatrician?
I think her name was Veronica Zamora or something like that.
And did you miss appointments with Miss Veronica,
No,
Dr. Veronica? Never
No.
missed appointments.
no.
If we had medical records from your pediatrician, 78 pages, and it says there that you missed 12 appointments, the records would be wrong. Is that right?
Most likely, yes.
I'm sorry?
Most likely, yes.
Their records are wrong. That's correct. What treatment was given to your children by the pediatrician?
What do you mean?
What treatment did she give them? For what?
They would only go for like their yearly checkups.
Wasn't Mercedes diagnosed with asthma?
I've already said yes to that.
Wasn't there a treatment plan for asthma provided by the doctor's office?
No, her asthma didn't act up all the time, so they just said that she would have an asthma pump. She didn't really use it.
Did you have one for her?
Yes,
Where did you get the asthma pump?
from the pharmacy.
Which pharmacy was that?
I don't know.
You don't know? How did you get it if you don't know who
It
was it?
was a referral.
It was a referral, but referral from the doctor to a pharmacy, and they provided an asthma inhaler,
Yes.
but you don't know where the pharmacy was.
No, I can't remember. It was a long time ago.
Did you have more than one pharmacy?
I don't know.
You're saying there was no treatment plan for asthma for a child?
No, she didn't have asthma like that. She didn't act up. Her asthma didn't act up like that.
If we bring Dr. Zamora Campos, do you think she would say something different?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
What would she say?
Objection calls for speculation, hearsay.
What
Sustained.
did she say?
Objection calls for hearsay.
Sustained.
Is it your testimony clearly that there was no treatment plan for your child's asthma?
Objection asked and answered.
That'll be overruled.
Yes,
When you said that there were times that Mercedes held her breath, could it have been related to her asthma?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
You're her mother. If she couldn't breathe, did you try to determine why?
I don't get that question.
I'm sorry, you don't get that question? You testified, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that she would hold her breath
Yeah, she did that like 1 or 2 times
1 or 2 times. Why did she do it?
because she was mad. She was angry.
I'm sorry?
She was mad. She was angry.
Was it possible that she was not able to breathe because of her asthma?
No,
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 she was just angry.
yes.
What did she display about having asthma? What conduct did she display?
None really. Like I said, it didn't act up like that.
Her asthma didn't act up like that?
No,
Was she able to feed herself?
yes.
From what age? Do you remember?
1?
From the age of 1. And did you take her to the doctors for anything other than their yearly shots?
Yes, I believe so. I can't remember for what, but I know that we made appointments for different things.
What kind of things?
I can't really remember, to be honest.
How many children do you have?
2?
You can't remember what treatment they had for 1 or 2 children?
I'm going to object to argumentative and asked and answered.
Overruled.
Well, why don't you know when you had 2 children?
Because I'm sure it's been over 3 years that I took them to the doctor.
You just don't remember.
Exactly.
Other than Damien, was there anybody else you lived with?
No.
And you worked.
Yes.
And what did you do for a job?
I used to work at Console Plus as a call center, and then I worked at Spectrum's call center, and then I danced at Dimension Club, Sugars, and Perfect 10.
Sugars. All right. When did you work? What was the time period that you worked?
I believe I was like 18 and 19. I worked at Cons. And
At what?
At Cons.
What does that mean?
Console Plus. The call center?
Home furniture, or
Yes. The call center.
it was a call center for a furniture place?
Yes.
Okay, and that was when you were 18 or 19. What was that time? What years were they? I don't know how old you are.
2018, 2019.
2019. Okay, and you had children at that time, is that right?
Yes.
And where were the children when you worked?
Daycare.
Daycare. Where was that daycare?
I can't remember.
Where was the place that you worked?
Near 410.
410 and what?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
And this was just Cons. Did you have a car?
Yes.
You were able to drive to work?
Yes.
Was it your car or someone else's?
It was my car.
Did you always have that car or just for a short period or what?
I believe I had a BMW for a little while.
A BMW?
Yes.
What year?
A 2002.
In 2002. I'm sorry. Oh, a 2002 model. Okay, thank you. All right. How did you get that BMW?
Object to relevance.
Sustained.
When you worked, were you able to buy a car?
I'm going to object to relevance.
Sustained.
Did you have a car when you were moving around to these different places that you lived?
I'm going to object to relevance.
Overruled.
Did I have a car?
Yes.
Yes.
And what kind of a car was it? The same BMW?
I'm going to object to relevance.
Sustained.
What kind of a car was it?
I'm going to object to relevance.
Sustained.
How did you get to the various places that you lived?
I had a car.
Object to relevance.
Overruled.
I had a car.
What point did you meet Jose Angel?
I can't remember.
Was he before or after Damien?
After.
after Damien. Did you live with Damien?
I'm gonna object to relevant. And answer.
Overruled.
Did you live with him prior to Jose?
Yes.
Where?
At 939 Daily Place.
I'm sorry?
939 Daily Place.
How can you remember that?
I lived there for 4 years.
Oh, for 4 years. Were you married to him?
No.
Were you engaged to
I'm
him?
gonna object to relevant.
Sustained.
Did you have any children with him?
No.
Was it just him living with you and your children?
No, I said his grandma lived there.
So he didn't have his own place. He lived with his grandmother,
Yes.
and you lived there.
Yes, and in the beginning, his mom also lived there too.
I'm sorry?
When I first moved in, his mom, his brother, and his grandma lived there.
Why is that relevant?
You asked me who lived there.
Okay, thank you. But you knew that location. You knew where that was, right?
Yes.
Was it near any of the places that you worked?
No.
Object to relevant.
All right, that'll be untimely. She's already answered. Ask your next question.
When you were living with Damien, what years was that?
I'm gonna object to relevant.
Overruled. You can answer if you know.
I don't know.
When did you get pregnant with Mercedes?
When I was 15,
What year was that?
2015.
2015. And this is when you lived with Homer, is that right?
No. I lived with Alfred, their dad.
Alfred, their dad?
Yes.
What period of time did you live with him?
From 2011 to 2015.
And he's the father of both of your daughters?
Yes.
There was some speculation.
I'm gonna object to hearsay.
Well, let me hear the question.
There was some speculation that he was not the father of Mercedes.
I'm gonna object to hearsay and
Is
relevant.
that true?
Sustained.
Why did you dislike Mercedes so much?
I never said I disliked them.
Your conduct said otherwise.
I'm gonna object to argumentative and sidebar.
Sustained.
How many times did CPS examine your lifestyle in regard to the children?
I want to say about, like, my whole life.
Well, the children aren't that old. I'm only interested, there are,
It was since I've been a mother.
all right, since you've been a mother, that's a better way of putting it. How many times did they examine you?
Maybe 5 times,
5 times?
as I can remember.
You can remember. Did they investigate you when you were living with the father of your girls?
Yes.
And how many times was it then?
I can't remember.
Do you remember why they investigated you?
I believe that somebody made a false report that I was being neglectful towards Jordan.
Was that the occasion when they investigated you because of the hand mark on Mercedes' body?
No.
When was that? Was that the next boyfriend?
No, I was living with my dad, my biological father at the time. And I was at work at KFC. And
At where?
KFC.
Oh,
I was about like 16 years old when that happened. 16, 17 years old.
when you say biological father, excuse me for prying, but is that different than Homer?
Yes.
Okay. And you have a relationship with your biological father, is that correct?
Yes.
And you don't recall the nature of why you were investigated?
I said that they had made a false allegation that I was being neglectful towards Jordan.
Do you know why they investigated you?
I'm gonna object calls for hearsay.
Overruled. You can answer.
What was the question?
Do you know why they were investigating you?
I know at the time I didn't know, but they don't tell you like who said it or who made an allegation.
I'm not interested in who, I'm interested in why. Why did they,
I said that because they were concerned about abuse from Jordan.
what kind of abuse was charged?
They didn't tell me. They just said that I was being neglectful.
But there was no allegation of Mercedes at the same time, and you said she was there then.
Yeah, there was no allegation towards Mercedes at the time.
At the time, at this time, Jordan was a baby, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And actually Mercedes wasn't born yet, or was she?
No, she was.
So, after you worked at KFC, you worked at the strip clubs.
No, after I worked at KFC, I started working at Laguna Madre and McDonald's, and then I started working at Cons, and then I started working
Again?
at Spec. No,
When is the first time CPS interviewed you in regard to Mercedes?
I can't remember.
Were most of the complaints against you about Mercedes or Jordan?
Both.
Both. And the nature of those complaints?
All my CPS cases got dismissed and closed except for this last one.
All right. So 6,000 pages were all dismissed. Would they say something different?
No,
Anyone other than Jose allegedly hit Mercedes?
I didn't.
You did. And did Damien or your biological father, or
No,
do you know that Jordan gave a statement about what happened with Mercedes?
I'm aware of that.
You're aware of what she said?
I didn't get to hear what she said, but I'm aware that she made a statement.
She talked about what happened the day she died. If Jordan said that you were jamming food down Mercedes' throat, would she be telling the truth?
No,
If Jordan said that Mercedes kept spitting it up, that you were gorging her mouth and she spit it up, that would not be the truth?
no,
If Jordan said that you got angry and jammed a spoon accidentally down her throat, would she be lying?
no. Wait, yes, sorry.
Yes?
Yes,
Yes, she's lying. If Jordan said that when you jammed the spoon down Mercedes' throat, she fell on the floor from the chair she was in and didn't breathe again, she'd be lying, yes?
yes,
And if she said that you tried to give her breath, but you couldn't, that Mercedes stopped breathing, Jordan would be lying. Is that true?
yes.
Jordan's a big liar, isn't she?
I mean, she was lying about that, yes.
Why would she lie about that?
I'm not sure, maybe somebody coached her.
There's no indication. You didn't speak to her again after Mercedes' death. Is that correct?
That's correct, but she wasn't Jose and Jeanette's care before she arrived at the hospital.
She was in, but you were there too.
No, I wasn't.
Where were you?
I was inside the hospital with Mercedes.
Jeanette was with Jose?
Yes, they were together.
They were together. Where? In the car?
I don't know. I just know that Jose came to drop off Jordan and he got her from Jeanette, and Jeanette and Jose were together because when Jose was calling my phone, well, his phone, and I was in the hospital and he was asking for his phone, he was with Jeanette and Jordan.
Jeanette and Jordan were in the car at that time.
I don't know.
If the policeman said something different, would he be lying too?
Said something different about what?
About who was in the car. Did you know that the policeman interviewed Jose at the hospital? It's even on video. Did you know that?
No.
We saw a video earlier and he was being interviewed and he didn't indicate that there was a child in the car with someone else.
Oh, he's the one that dropped off Jordan because.
So the policeman is, if we saw,
All right, so here's the thing. How
sorry.
many times must I say? You all need to speak one person at a time. Is that hard for everybody to understand?
Not to understand, Your Honor, but I apologize.
We're taking a break. Ladies and gentlemen, the court reporter needs a break. So we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to come back at 4:10. Is that enough time for everyone?
Yes, sir.
Remember my previous instructions.